Just a quick disclaimer. Any advice I give on this podcast is just my own personal advice. It may or may not work for you. These episodes are more of a rough outline to self-improvement, not a step-by-step guide. I will never make an episode on something I haven't improved upon or gone through myself. Do you feel lost in love, friendship, and life in general? Do you feel like you need a change? Well, that's where A Loser's Life Advice comes in, a podcast where I, Dylan Mathieu, discuss topics from dating to using substances in social situations. And don't worry about this being the usual toxic alpha male content that you normally see in the self-improvement world. I provide realistic advice based on how I've improved in various areas of my life as a former self-described loser. I will never give advice on a subject I haven't improved upon or gone through. Are you tired of being unmotivated to start projects? Does the thought of being productive give you a pit in your stomach? Well, in today's episode of A Loser's Life Advice, I give you a list of 10 ways that I've learned can motivate you to get up and do the things that you've been putting off. And before you know it, you'll be feeling happy, accomplished, and productive. Yo, what's up, my homies? It's time for another podcast. But also time for another cup of coffee. So if you don't have coffee, go get some. I'll wait. Just fucking again. But yeah, today we're actually going to be talking about this is going to be a list style kind of podcast where we're going to be talking about 10 realistic ways for you to feel more just productive in general. But first we're going to start with the word productivity. It's basically just like a buzzword in not only the online content creation world, but pretty much in all jobs. But is productivity a truly objective thing? If you really really stop and think about it, being productive at one thing is completely different than from being productive at another. Even within the same job or project that you're doing, what one can consider productive will differ. For example, let's say that you've been working on making a YouTube video. Plug for my YouTube channel real quick. Go check out Dylan's Journey to see the more short-formed, more quick, snappy content compared to the long-form version of the podcast. And subscribe to that shit, Try to get them numbers up, dog. So let's just say you're making a YouTube video. It may only take 30 minutes to film, but just filming the video in your mind is enough productivity for that entire day. So you take a break until the next day. And then tomorrow you may begin editing the video, but because it takes so much time, hours at a time, you don't really have the energy to finish it. And depending on how you felt that day, you may either find that your work was productive, or you may say to yourself that since you didn't finish it, even though you worked longer on the edit than you did filming the video, just the fact that you didn't finish it in your mind may make you think, I'm currently getting a phone call from an unknown number from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Okay. Yo, it's probably the governor of my state calling me and being like, yo, Dylan, your podcast, pretty fucking fire. Just heard it the other day. Helped me be more productive and put some more laws in effect that screw over the people. That's none of my business. Politicians, in my mind, The only reason you would ever want to be a politician is because you want power. And like, I can't think of any other reason because I would hate to be a politician. You may want to make change, but when you're that popular, you're going to fucking eventually get a big head and like do stupid shit. But I'm not here to talk politics anymore. So yeah, back to our little example here. So you might not think it's a very productive use of your time, even though you did edit for hours on a video, just because you feel like you didn't finish the job. All this to basically just say that productivity is pretty much subjective unless you're talking about literal metrics, like on a spreadsheet or something like that. And any job that is all about productivity over employee well-being just isn't focused on the right thing. In my opinion, obviously, like the numbers may say something else, but like, I feel like if you treat your employees well enough, the business will grow anyway. Maybe not as quickly. Excuse me. Ooh, that tasted like coffee. Not complaining, but coffee smells better than it tastes. So anyway, but I'm not here to ramble about workplace ethics. Yeah, I'm not really here to ramble about workplace ethics or politics. So like, it's my unfiltered, just rambling on. So like, I may say things like that are my opinions, obviously, but I'm not here to talk about them at length. I'm only here to talk about the subject at hand, which is productivity. I'm pretty much no expert in either politics or just like workplace environment, even though, I mean, obviously I have a job, but like my workplace is very unconventional as opposed to like the regular 9-to-5 job. So yeah, I'm here basically just to say that despite me just saying that productivity is a mindset, not a true metric, unless you're looking at literal numbers on a paper, there are quite a few ways that I found motivate me to work on projects I have or things that need to be done at my day job. So like I came up with not around exactly 10. I actually had more, but like this is also like for a video, so I also came up with 10, and 10 is a nice round number for the SEO. Like people like, oh, it's a top 10. Maybe not a top 10, but a list of 10 things. Because if you put like 11 or something like that, people are like, it's weird because it's not an even number. It's not a multiple of 5 or 10. So like, whatever. But I thought of like 10, I narrowed it down to 10 realistic ways that you may be able to use to feel more productive or to motivate you to become productive in the first place. I'm going to give you like an example of somewhat recently how I've like if you this especially goes if you've like kind of fallen off track like I have recently. I still have gotten content out. It's just like in my mind I haven't felt like productive enough where like I was always ahead of schedule, and now I like when you get demotivated then you start to spiral, and it's just like that's how I've been recently. But since yesterday I made this script, I procrastinated long enough, and now tomorrow is the day when both of the video and the podcast are supposed to come out. But once I got into that flow state again, it's like easy. The next day when you wake up, you're like, okay, I have everything planned out. But let's get into our first example, or our first way that you can get motivated to feel more productive or be productive. This one is a cliche, so don't say anything. I know it's a cliche, but honestly, it does work. So it's make your bed either right when you wake up or right before doing something like a task or a project. Now, making your bed alone doesn't just automatically make you productive, but doing just one little thing, like making your bed, can lead you into the mindset of, hey, I'm already doing shit, might as well do something else. And that will snowball from there. And before you know it, you're doing like larger tasks. And then eventually the big task that you originally might not have had the motivation to do earlier. It's just like a thing that I've noticed through like just doing it myself. Like I make my bed and like, I'm like, okay, I'm already up, so I might as well like vacuum my bedroom. And then I was like, I might as well do some dishes. I might as well put away my laundry. I might as well write a script for a video. And while I'm at my desk, I might as well record a podcast. So it's like, it does really snowball, and it doesn't have to be just making your bed, but this is like the cliche example. But making your bed also falls into some other of the categories later on. Now, the second thing, sorry, I hit the mic arm. You probably didn't hear it, but who knows? Another thing is to allow plenty of natural sunlight into your home or workspace. Having any kind of light is nice because like humans are designed to be awake at like during the daytime, but the stuff that comes from the sun is the true bee's knees, because like regular standard lights inside are going to give you not as much of a, I don't know. There's many benefits to just natural sunlight that regular lights don't give you. Not only does the sunlight convert 7-dehydrocholesterol, ooh, fancy, into vitamin D3, which is good for the body, but it's like a more even and pleasant light, and it makes things seem just more cheerful. Now, I'm not a scientist or anything like that, but I did read up about like what the sunlight does. It doesn't literally give you vitamin D. It's not like a supplement, but it converts what you already have in your body, which is the 7-dehydrocholesterol, into that vitamin D3. It's good for like immunity, just in general, and it does make you happier. I feel like that's the studies that have been done, at least. And feeling happy can definitely lead to that spark of motivation to do stuff. Like, just think about it. On like a shitty day outside, it's rainy, cold, just like cloudy, versus a day that's like 75 degrees Fahrenheit and sunny, which would most likely make you want to go out and do like errands even. There's a reason why people have seasonal affective disorder, which is basically that when there's less sunlight during the day in like the winter time, people tend to get more depressed or sad for that period of time. Sunlight just makes us happy. And that's a biological fact. So yeah, just let more sunlight, as much sunlight as possible, into your workspace or home. Even if like it's a cloudy day, it's still bright enough outside that you can see. Like it's not like it's nighttime where it's dark as fuck. So even if it's a cloudy day, open the windows, stuff like that. Then the third thing I have on here is to, not to self-plug or anything like that, but watch some online content that motivates you in a non-toxic kind of way before doing your task. This has helped me. I'm not saying this because I want you to watch my shit, but like if you do want to watch my shit, you can. But that's beside the point. So it really does work for me. There's like, I have specific content creators that I only watch when I need a boost of inspiration or motivation to get productive. And I always make sure that what these creators are talking about is not toxic and is grounded in reality. Excuse me, very burpy today. Imagine if you like burped solids instead of gas. Like, that'd be fucking wild. I mean, I guess it's like throwing up. So never mind. So I'm stupid. Those throw up's mostly usually liquid, but there's some solid stuff. I didn't mean to get that. This isn't about biology, even though I talked about like the sun converting your shit into vitamin D3 earlier, and talking about seasonal affective disorder and shit. So you just basically have to find the videos and creators that make you feel like getting some work done. They don't have to be like crazy, like toxic masculinity, like grind. Like, I personally don't watch those videos about the hustle culture, because that in my mind can get like a bit too toxic when it comes to constantly trying to get that bread, you know, without the need to put on the brakes. We are only human after all. So having rest is essential to just living in general, especially optimally. We literally need sleep or we'd die. The older I get, the more I realize that sleep like heals a lot and helps a lot. During your sleep is when your body regenerates a lot of stuff. I've noticed that the number one way to not have a hangover as much is to just sleep at least 6 to 8 hours. If you can get closer to 8, that's better. And alcohol does affect your sleep, especially your REM sleep. So you're constantly like not getting a restful night. But like if you wake up at like 7 a.m., which I usually wake up earlier when I drink because of the restless sleep, I would suggest that like you go back to sleep and you'll get a better night's sleep from then on for a couple more hours. And that seems to like really reduce any kind of hangover symptoms. Just that's a little bonus tip there that has nothing to do with productivity. I mean, if you're not hungover, you can be more productive, I feel like. But I've even noticed that stress can lead to actual physical reactions that could end up making you unhealthier. So just make sure you're watching this type of content to inspire you and not drive you up a fucking tree. Now, the next thing I have on here is, this is another thing where you're going to be like, hey, Dylan, you sound like a stupid self-help guru with this bullshit. And that is, you either meditate or just like reflect on how good you felt the last time you were productive, as well as just some things you can do to feel even better this time. In reality, I don't really meditate in like the stereotypical fashion of like crossing my legs, putting my hands out with my fingers like, and I just make sure I'm in an area with no distractions, plenty of sunlight, like I said earlier, and I just close my eyes and reflect on things like remembering how good it felt when I was last working on a project or a task, and as well as finishing it, and as also assuring myself that my goals are attainable as long as I continue to work on said project or task. I also reflect on like non-work things to make me just appreciate life in general, which I recommend doing even like if you don't like, if you're not working on a project or anything like that. I also make sure that I control my breathing, which helps keep me calm since I personally tend to have anxiety at any given moment. And my brain will start to just wander and think about other things. So if you've never given any type of meditation a try, even if you're just like reflecting on like what has been going on or what your goals are, I highly recommend it, even if you aren't trying to get motivated in any way. The next thing I have, we're about halfway through now of the list of things. This one's a little less heavy. It's just like, get yourself a nice beverage, of any beverage of your choice to sip on while working. I used to think this is just like a phony way to look like you're more productive while like at a desk or something. It's like, I gotta have my coffee. Karen, you have those papers ready? God, I hate Karen. Hey, workplace drama, is not a good thing. Yeah, there's been plenty of drama in my workplace over the years, but I try not to get myself involved in that shit. Like, it's not worth it. But I've learned that because just having like a drink is a cliche, like at a desk or a coffee or something like that, it initially gives you the illusion of being productive. It's like a placebo effect kind of thing. And it eventually leads to just actually being productive. And now I've been doing it since then. My personal drink of choice while scripting or editing videos is coffee. Before I didn't start drinking coffee until somewhat recently. It was like before meeting my girlfriend, I wasn't really much of a coffee drinker, but she sure as hell is. And she really got me into it, where the fact that like I went out and bought like a coffee cart bar thing. And now I at least drink a cup a day. For me, not only does coffee bring the illusion of productivity, like that placebo effect shit, but I'm honestly, my body's super sensitive to caffeine, I've learned. So just one cup of the stuff gets me into like the energized flow state that makes me feel like I can like do anything and that my day will be just awesome. Like, I just got to have one cup of coffee and I'm good for the day. If I have two, I might have to like stop myself from like thinking I'm going to vibrate out of my body, because 2 cups of coffee, especially right after each other, just like gives me the fucking jitters. I'm on my cup of coffee for the day. It is 12:28 in the afternoon. Coffee apparently has a half-life of 6 hours, so it stays in the body for 12 hours. But like the main effects of it last 6 hours. So it's like if I'm drinking a cup of coffee now, it really won't totally exit my body until like 6 or like 12 midnight, which is before I even really go to bed, and I'll still be at work at midnight. So that's fine with me. But yeah. So I don't try to drink coffee after maybe 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. or something like that, just in case, you know. But that's up to you. So yeah, get like a beverage. It could be anything. It could just be like, I don't recommend doing anything like alcohol or anything like that, because like then you'll just get unfocused because you'll be like drunk or buzzed. But like water, sparkling water, coffee, tea, anything. I really do recommend something with caffeine in it. Even if, like, don't like drink like a fucking shit ton of it, like in an energy drink, but like just something small, like 1 cup of coffee or 1 cup of tea, because the caffeine honestly really does like stimulate the brain. The next thing is to optimize your workspace as much as possible. This one is kind of a no-brainer, but I didn't really think about it until somewhat recently. If everything in your work area has its own specific and dedicated place, and everything on your, like, if you're doing like video work or like anything on your computer, and it already has the optimized settings beforehand, then the work that you have to do beforehand will be minimal, leading to more of a smooth workflow, which makes you, the ease of access of it really will make a difference in whether you start doing something or not. I have my video creating space set up where I am right now, where I don't need to do much to get ready to film or do a podcast. For filming, I just press a button for my lights and I swing my mic arm out, and just a couple of clicks to start recording audio on said mic. And my camera guy, who is my brother Evan, since I don't need to do that part of the work, he sets the camera up, and the camera and it's all of its equipment, like the lens and the battery, have their own specific spot where he knows where they're at. So as soon as he gets in there, he knows to fucking get it together. And he just stands where he normally stands to film a video, and we're pretty much like go at that point. So I used to not really have this setup, but through trial and error, just doing this simple thing raised my productivity to a new fucking level. Like, it's over 9,000. Whatever that means. Now, next, this is like somewhat related, but you got to make sure your workspace is just free of general clutter. As Albert Einstein once said, I think, messiness is a great enemy of productivity. I don't think he actually said that, but like, I said that he said it. It's like the fucking Office thing. It's like, except, I don't know, that was a real quote, but you know, the fucking Wayne Gretzky thing. But yeah, if Albert Einstein said it, like, that dude was pretty fucking smart. So I don't know. You might want to listen to him. Yeah, I found that clutter in your work area not only makes it physically harder to get to the things you need to start working in the first place, but if you're constantly just seeing the mess you'll eventually have to clean up, it may lead to more negative thoughts about doing other things like the task you really want to do. And this can just spiral into extreme procrastination. And before you know it, you're off track, which continues to snowball until you make some kind of drastic change. And you don't want to feel like that. Don't get me wrong, falling off the wagon is totally fine. It's just that if you really want to feel productive, then this is not the ideal situation. If you have like 15 different like papers on your desk, like that don't need to be there, like just put them away or throw any away that you don't need. So yeah. Now, somewhat also related is the next thing is to just get rid of all distractions while working. This is different than the clutter, but clutter is grouped in with this. I'm talking about things this time like any excess noise, any non-emergency notifications, calls, and social media on your phone or otherwise, and anything that you normally do during your leisure time. So no distractions. I found that even if I have my phone just on my desk and I'm not even using it or looking at it, I'll accidentally see that there's a notification. I'll be like, ooh, what's that? I'll quick check it, but then end up getting sucked into some sort of social media bullshit. Like even writing this script, I'd put my phone on silent and just charging on my nightstand, which is like not within my direct reach from my desk. So, and I also had my bedroom door closed in case my brother's cat Peanut decided to visit me, in which case I would drop everything to give the little guy some pets. Not a good idea when I'm trying to be productive. Yeah, being an animal lover does have that one downside, the distraction of I want to pet the kitty. But yeah, that we're gonna go to the next one now, dude. This one is a pretty low key one, or you could say lo-fi one. Put on some relaxing and quiet music in the background while working. Yes, the good old lo-fi hip hop radio, beats to relax and study to. In reality, it can be any music that like calms without distracting. Just make sure that it's pretty far in the background, turning it down to as low a volume as possible while still being able to hear it. There's a reason that fucking live stream is so damn popular. The calming nature and the almost placebo-like effect of quiet music really aids in feeling productive. I personally do listen to that specific lo-fi hip-hop radio, beats to relax and study to live stream, because it's like obviously the most ubiquitous one. So I'm like, I might as well listen to it. It's pretty fucking chill, bro. And it's like I'm not really doing it to relax or study to, but I'm doing it to write. It should be called lo-fi hip-hop radio, beats to edit and script videos and podcasts to, you know. Actually, I don't really listen to music when I'm editing because I just want to put all my focus on the audio, because I'm really a stickler nowadays for good audio. So yeah, listening to that gives you a source of sound without taking you away from whatever you're doing. So like, I don't know what the science behind that is, but like I feel like just like a nice little like it's like elevator music kind of thing where you're just like you don't really notice it, or if you're like at a grocery store or a department store where they have music playing, there might be some sort of psychology to that, but fuck if I know. So the 10th thing is at the end of each week, write down what you need to do for the following week, the next week. Planning out each day that you want to accomplish something is a great way to train your brain to form habits, as long as you actually follow what you write down. You can't just like, oh, I feel so productive, I wrote it down. That may make you feel productive at that time, which may make you want to do it. But if you don't actually do the thing, then you're not going to feel productive once you get to that day. You can either use like a calendar or a planner to do this. Either digital calendar, physical calendar, digital planner, physical planner. I personally use Google Calendar to not only plan out what YouTube and podcast stuff I want to do each week, but errands and recurring things like bills, as well as like fun things and events that I have planned, so I can look forward to them. It really just like can take away the stress of like planning each individual day at a time, instead of like doing it all 1 week at a time. I don't like to plan a month ahead of time because there might be unexpected things that come up. So I plan a week ahead of time, and obviously you can be flexible, but like try to stick with what you do, what you put in your planner or calendar or whatever. Yeah. And if you just don't plan it all, then like it's possible to do it without planning, but like you still got to have some sort of little bit in your mind. The one caveat to this though is that you actually have to do what you write down, like I said earlier, or it's just wasted planning. Eventually, I found that the routine does form habits, which in the end leads to more productivity and motivation in general. So those are my 10 things that I do to feel productive or try to get myself motivated to be productive. It's just like a lot of it's cliche. I feel like a lot of these things have been said already, but these are tried and tested things that I've personally been able to get myself to do shit. But like I said, now, like this is no way a perfect solution to every single person's productivity dilemmas, but they're just my personal ways to get the motivation to get shit done. And hopefully that just by listening to this podcast gave you the motivation to go try some of these things out. Because it's like listening to this podcast is actually technically one of the steps that I said in or one of the ways is like, oh, watching or listening to content that motivates you. So yeah, make sure that's it for my time on a Loser's Life Advice podcast. Make sure to rate the podcast on whatever you are listening to this on. And make sure to, if you're on specifically Spotify, like I always say, because it's only on Spotify, to answer the question that I give and respond to the poll that I publish under this specific episode of the podcast. Only on Spotify, just because I publish these episodes on Anchor.fm, which is owned by Spotify. So yeah, no way it's not a sponsor at this point. So like, do with it what you will. But so I do really personally recommend, if you want to do a podcast, like this is free promo, like go to Anchor, and it's like a great way to get started because it's free. So no more free promo, no fucking free clout. No, just kidding. But yeah, that's all I have to say for today. Make sure to do all those things I asked. If you feel like it, obviously, I'm not going to like be like, do it, because if you don't, I'll cry. Although I think I will cry if you don't. I'll know if you don't, and I'll be like, I'll send you like a video of me crying to your phone somehow. Nah, anyway, that's it for my time, and I will see you guys in the next episode.